In this book, you will learn how to align your inner frequency with the abundant life you've always desired. Unlock the hidden power within you to transform setbacks into breakthroughs, and let gratitude, intuition, and energy become your guides to fortune. This journey isn't just about attracting wealth, it's about discovering your true potential. Are you ready to tune in to the frequency of fortune? The frequency of fortune. Introduction. What if I told you that fortune isn't just a matter of chance or luck? What if the life you dream of isn't something you need to chase but something you need to tune into? The universe, in its mysterious wisdom, responds to the frequencies we emit, and when you learn how to align yours with your deepest desires, life begins to flow with ease and grace. The frequency of fortune is not just about attracting material wealth or the outward symbols of success. It's about aligning with the deep, soulful abundance that the universe offers. This book is a guide to that alignment, helping you discover how your thoughts, emotions, and energy all play a part in creating the reality you experience. Each chapter will take you through the steps of raising your vibration, shifting your mindset, and unlocking the infinite potential that already exists within you. As you journey through these pages, you will learn how to recognize the subtle signals that the universe is sending you, how to tap into your inner power, and how to attract the fortune that's meant for you. It's a process that requires both patience and faith. Faith that the universe is always working in your favor, even when it seems like the odds are against you. So take a moment. Breathe. Allow yourself to tune into the frequency of possibility. Because fortune is not a distant dream, it's a vibration that you can begin to match today. Chapter 1. The Whisper. Beneath the Noise. Most people never hear it. Not because it isn't speaking, but because the world is too loud. Car horns, calendar alerts, the endless scroll of social media, opinions dressed as truth, and fears dressed as logic. All of it forms a kind of static that drowns out something much more important, the quiet whisper of fortune trying to reach you. For Daniel Moore, a Midwestern electrician with no college degree, that whisper came one night in the middle of a power outage. His truck had broken down, his phone was dead, and his flashlight barely lit the dashboard. It should have been the worst day of his week, but sitting there in silence, he suddenly felt something he couldn't explain. A strange, unshakable pull to draw again, something he hadn't done since high school. The next day, he bought a sketch pad. Within a year, he was designing logos for local businesses. 3 years later, he owned a creative agency, all because he chose to listen when everything else went quiet. His fortune wasn't loud. It never shouted. It whispered. And he heard it. Fortune often arrives this way, not in a grand announcement, but in subtle nudges. A quiet idea that won't go away. A random encounter that feels anything but random. A moment of stillness that delivers clarity you didn't ask for. But to hear it, you have to lower the volume of everything else. You have to risk being still in a world addicted to movement. The whisper beneath the noise isn't fantasy. It's frequency. It's life trying to redirect you toward something bigger than what you're settling for. Chapter 2. Where energy meets intention. There's a moment in every life when things start to move, not because the world outside suddenly changed, but because something inside clicked into place. That moment happened for Daniel, a quiet schoolteacher from Asheville, North Carolina, who had spent years feeling like life was happening to him. He showed up. He worked. He was kind. But something always seemed to hold his dreams just out of reach. One morning, After yet another sleepless night worrying about money and his stagnant life, Daniel stood in front of his mirror and said 5 simple words he'd never spoken with such conviction. I'm ready to be aligned. That day, nothing external shifted. But internally something seismic happened. He didn't just hope anymore, he decided. He started walking differently, speaking differently. Within weeks, new conversations led to new opportunities. Not magic, not luck. It was something far more powerful. His energy had finally met his intention. You can say all the right affirmations. You can visualize for hours. But until your energy matches your intention, you're sending the universe mixed signals. Think of it like trying to tune into a radio station. You can have the right dial number in mind, but if the frequency is off even slightly, all you'll get is static. Intention is the mental choice, but energy is the emotional charge behind it. If your thoughts say, I want abundance, but your emotions say, I feel unworthy, the signal gets scrambled. Fortune doesn't respond to what we want, it responds to what we vibrate. When you align your energy with the feeling of already having what you seek, you begin to draw it to you not by force but by frequency. The universe, in its own mysterious way, mirrors what you're made of. Chapter 3. The Fortune Hidden in Failure. They called it the end of the road. That's what Marcus heard echoing in his mind as he sat on the cracked steps of his apartment in Detroit, staring at the foreclosure notice clutched in his hands. 3 years earlier, he had left his stable engineering job to build a sustainable home construction business. The dream was vivid, the passion was real. But the economy didn't care, the contracts dried up, his bank account drained, and now, he was watching everything collapse around him. It would have been easy to label that moment as failure. Most people did. Even his closest friends quietly distanced themselves. But something strange happened in the quiet that followed. With nothing left to protect, no image to maintain, Marcus started asking deeper questions, not just about business, but about purpose. He began volunteering at a nonprofit teaching trade skills to at-risk youth, not for money, just to feel useful again. Within a year, one of those students introduced Marcus to a grant program focused on community-based housing innovation. That grant helped him rebuild a company, not for profit but for purpose. Today, he doesn't just build homes, he builds lives. And the funny thing is, he credits his greatest success to what the world saw as failure. Failure isn't the opposite of fortune. It's often its very doorway. We grow up fearing it, avoiding it, wrapping ourselves in perfectionism or paralysis. But fortune doesn't follow the perfect path. It follows the real one, the messy one, the broken one. What you call failure may actually be life deconstructing, a lesser version of your dream to make room for the truer one. Sometimes the breakdown is the beginning of your becoming. So the next time something falls apart, don't just mourn it. Examine it. Listen to what's beneath the noise. Fortune doesn't always shout. It often speaks in the quiet moments after everything has gone still. Chapter 4. Tuning Your Inner Radio. Somewhere in the quiet hills of Asheville, North Carolina, a woman named Claire sat on her porch, sipping coffee as dawn spilled gold across the sky. Life hadn't been kind lately. Her business was drowning, her marriage threadbare. She felt like she was screaming into a void, hoping something, anything would echo back. But that morning, something shifted. It wasn't dramatic. No lightning bolt. No divine voice. Just a thought. Maybe it's not the world that's silent. Maybe I'm just tuned to the wrong station. That one thought unraveled everything she thought she knew. She realized she had spent years tuning her inner dial to scarcity, failure, fear. Every day she played the same frequency. I'm not enough. I'm running out of time. Life is unfair. And like a faithful radio tower, the universe kept sending back what she broadcasted. It wasn't a punishment, it was a mirror. When Claire began changing her internal station, choosing thoughts of courage, faith, gratitude, small things began to shift. A delayed payment came through. A friend offered unexpected help. Her laughter returned. It wasn't magic. It was resonance. She was finally speaking the universe's language. Your life isn't random, it's responsive. Like a radio, you don't create the music, you just tune into it. And when you start aligning your thoughts and emotions with frequencies like joy, trust, and clarity, your external world begins to harmonize. This isn't about toxic positivity. It's about truthful alignment. What are you broadcasting when no one's watching? What's the emotional tone you live in? Resentment, worry, or wonder? Because the universe doesn't hear your words, it hears your frequency, and that frequency is your true request to life. Chapter 5. The Law of Emotional Gravity. In a quiet town just outside of Austin, Texas, there lived a man named Marcus. He wasn't famous, he didn't have millions, and you wouldn't notice him walking past. But there was something magnetic about him. People gravitated toward Marcus without knowing why. He owned a modest coffee shop where locals gathered not just for espresso, but for connection. One day a college student asked him what his secret was. Marcus smiled, eyes kind, and said, "I wake up every day already grateful for things I can't see yet." That kind of feeling, it pulls the good stuff in. That's the law of emotional gravity. It's not written in physics textbooks, but it might as well be. Because just like gravity holds planets in orbit, your dominant emotional state anchors the reality you experience. Most people believe they have to wait for happiness to arrive before they feel happy, but the truth is, your feelings don't follow your life. Your life follows your feelings. Think about it. When you walk into a room and someone's full of joy, it changes the atmosphere. But when someone walks in angry or bitter, it drags everything down. That's emotional gravity. You're not just responding to life, you're attracting it, shaping it, commanding it moment by moment, based on the energy you live in the most. Fortune doesn't fall randomly from the sky. It responds to the frequency you emit on a regular basis. And emotion is the amplifier. So the question becomes, what are you pulling into your life by the feelings you carry? If you're always in fear, worry, or resentment, those emotions act like anchors, keeping higher outcomes out of reach. But if you start every day, even for 5 minutes, in gratitude, peace, or love, you raise your gravitational pull, not to force life to bend to your will, but to allow it to meet you where you truly are. The frequency anchor. Choose one elevated emotion to embody each morning: peace, gratitude, or joy. Let that emotion be your gravitational center. Return to it when life feels heavy. Your fortune is orbiting closer than you think. Chapter 6. Silence is a portal. In a small cabin tucked into the Colorado Rockies, 38-year-old Dana Parker finally turned off her phone. Not just the ringer, she powered it down. After 20 years of noise, social media, breaking news, relentless work calls, she sat in a room that didn't buzz, ping, or scream for her attention. At first, the silence unnerved her. It felt like a void, like something was missing. But by day 3, Dana realized something extraordinary. The silence wasn't empty, it was alive. It whispered clarity, answered questions she didn't know she was asking, and peeled back the chaos in her mind. What she found underneath wasn't just peace. It was direction. For the first time in years, she heard her life speak back to her. In our overconnected world, silence feels like a stranger. But silence isn't the absence of sound, it's the presence of deeper truth. Most people wait for fortune to knock on their door. But often fortune doesn't arrive with fireworks. It enters quietly, in moments when the world fades and your soul finally has space to speak. Silence is the portal to the frequency where your greatest clarity, creativity, and divine nudges live. Fortune doesn't scream, it whispers. And those whispers can only be heard when the noise dies down. If you want to attract fortune, don't just hustle harder. Listen deeper, unplug. Sit in the quiet. Let your thoughts settle like dust in still air. Because once the silence arrives, so does the message. And in that message, your next step, your next calling, your next miracle is already waiting. Chapter 7. When the Heart Becomes the Compass. In a quiet town just outside Sedona, Arizona, a woman named Elise stood at a crossroads that couldn't be seen on any map. She had spent 15 years building a career that looked perfect on the outside: corner office, luxury car, impressive title. But inside she was unraveling. The stress was consuming her sleep. The ambition that once lit her up now burned her out, and the mirror no longer reflected someone she recognized. One night, after another panic attack disguised as food poisoning, she finally asked herself the question no one ever wants to ask. What if I've been climbing the wrong mountain? That question cracked something open. Elise took a weekend trip. Alone. No laptop, no calendar, just a journal in the desert. It was there, walking among red rocks and sunlit silence, that she heard a voice. Not out loud, but unmistakably real. You've been letting fear steer the wheel. It hit her like thunder. For years, every decision had been filtered through logic, strategy, and what makes sense. But the heart doesn't care what's sensible. It cares what's sacred. And fortune, the kind that fills you instead of just funding you, only follows those who are brave enough to listen to that inner compass. Elise didn't return to her old life. She returned to herself, and from that place, created a business rooted in healing, not hustling. Within a year, she was more successful and more peaceful than she ever imagined possible. We've been taught to follow plans, not pull, but your heart is a magnetic field wired to your most fortunate future. It doesn't shout, it hums. And when you ignore it, life becomes noise. The heart always knows what the mind doubts, what's real, what's right, and what's yours. Logic has limits, intuition doesn't. That quiet tug you feel when something just feels off or deeply right, that's your inner compass, and it's never wrong. Don't silence it, sync with it. The moment you choose to let your heart lead, fortune begins to follow. Because when the heart becomes the compass, the path becomes clear, even if it's not yet visible. Chapter 8. Rewriting the Frequency of Self-Worth. We are all at the core frequencies, vibrations moving through time, influencing the world around us in ways we don't always see. But of all the frequencies that exist within us, the most powerful is the one that echoes our self-worth. How we perceive ourselves, how we value ourselves, determines everything that comes into our lives. It's the underlying signal we're always broadcasting into the universe, and it's more potent than any words or actions we could ever say. Take a moment and think about the last time you truly felt at peace with who you are. When you felt like you were enough just as you are. What did that moment feel like? What were you doing and who were you with? Most importantly, how did the world around you respond to that version of you? When we tune into the frequency of our worth, the world responds in kind, often in ways we couldn't have imagined. Yet for many of us, self-worth isn't something we were born knowing. Instead, it's something we've been taught, shaped by others' opinions, past mistakes, and fears. It's easy to forget the vast potential we hold when we're constantly bombarded with messages telling us what we lack. We internalize the doubts and criticisms of others, believing that we need to be more, do more, have more to be worthy of what we desire. But the truth is, worthiness isn't earned. It's inherent. It's already in you, waiting for you to acknowledge it. Take, for instance, Oprah Winfrey, one of the most influential women in the world. She didn't start as the successful media mogul we know today. Oprah faced incredible adversity in her youth. Poverty, abuse, discrimination. But through it all, she never lost sight of her own worth. She rewrote the narrative about herself, one where she was deserving of love, success, and joy, despite the circumstances. And that shift in self-worth became the very foundation of her success. Rewriting your frequency of self-worth means tuning into the understanding that you are deserving of all the greatness life has to offer, not because of what you do, but because of who you are. The moment you fully embrace this truth, you begin to operate from a place of power rather than scarcity. You stop chasing validation from the outside world and start attracting the love, abundance, and opportunities that already belong to you. To begin rewriting your self-worth frequency, first ask yourself, what would my life look like if I truly believed I was worthy of everything I desire? Imagine it in vivid detail. Feel what it feels like to step into the fullness of your potential. This isn't about vanity or ego. It's about acknowledging your worth as a natural, unshakable truth. Remember, the frequency you broadcast is the frequency you attract. If you continue to undervalue yourself, that's the energy you'll send out, and it will reflect back to you in the form of missed opportunities, unfulfilled dreams, and relationships that don't honor your true self. But when you shift your inner dialogue and tune into the frequency of your inherent worth, you align with your greatest potential. Now, notice how your mindset shifts. How does it feel to truly believe that you are worthy of the highest levels of success, love, and happiness? That belief is your signal to the universe, and it will start to shape everything that comes your way. Chapter 9. The Echo of Gratitude. There's a quiet power in gratitude, one that transcends mere politeness or social courtesy. In a world where the focus often lands on what we lack, on what's yet to be attained, gratitude is the bridge to what we've been waiting for. It's the overlooked key to unlock a universe of fortune we all have access to, if only we stop to acknowledge the abundant life around us. It's easy to think of gratitude as a simple thank you for what we already have, but gratitude, when truly felt, is a frequency, an energy. This energy doesn't just resonate through our words. It echoes in our every action, every thought, and every vibration. Take a moment and think about it. How do you feel when someone truly thanks you for something you've done? Without expectation, without obligation, but just from the heart? Doesn't it make you want to give more? Doesn't it amplify a sense of connection, of trust, of abundance? This same principle applies to the universe. Gratitude, when practiced with intention, becomes a magnet for the very fortune we seek. It's not just a casual feeling, but an active, powerful force that draws more of what we are grateful for into our lives. The more grateful you are for what you already have, whether it's your health, your relationships, your experiences, the more you invite. You start to notice what you never saw before, the opportunities you once missed, the people who enter your life at just the right time, the lucky breaks that seem to arrive from nowhere. For example, consider someone like Oprah Winfrey, whose success story is tied not just to hard work, but to her deep sense of gratitude. She has spoken countless times about her practice of gratitude, how it's been one of the core principles that brought her the fortune she now shares with the world. It's not just about being thankful when things are good, but being thankful, even in times of struggle. Oprah learned to say thank you for the challenges as much as for the triumphs. She saw every obstacle as a stepping stone, each lesson an invitation for greater things to come. But why does this work? Why does gratitude have this magnetic quality? The answer lies in the simple law of attraction. The universe, in its mysterious wisdom, responds to the energy we emit. When we vibrate at the frequency of gratitude, we're essentially signaling to the universe that we are open to receive more. We're showing it that we're not in a state of lack, but in one of abundance. And the universe, always in tune with our frequency, can't help but respond in kind. Gratitude, then, is not just about receiving. It's about being in a state of perpetual reception. When we shift our mindset from, "I'll be happy when I get this," to, "I am thankful for what I already have," we begin to align with the frequency of fortune. The universe doesn't need to be asked. It simply responds to what we already put out into the world. So take a moment each day to feel the gratitude deep in your bones. Let it echo in your heart, and feel the reverberation of that energy ripple outwards. In the grand orchestra of life, gratitude is the melody that resonates, creating harmony with everything around us. It's a subtle hum that invites abundance into every crevice of our existence. The more you can tap into that hum, the more you will see your world shift. You'll notice new opportunities, clearer paths, and a greater sense of ease. The echo of gratitude becomes a song that reverberates throughout your life, bringing to you all that is meant for you, because you have aligned your energy with it. Fortune is not a destination. It's a frequency. And when you practice gratitude with intention, you begin to resonate at the frequency that attracts all the blessings you deserve. It's time to tune into the echo of gratitude and feel the magnetic pull of fortune. Chapter 10. Vibrations Don't Lie. There's a quiet truth that many of us ignore daily. The world speaks to us through vibrations, energies that flow between us and everything around us. It's not about what you hear or see, but what you feel beneath the surface. Whether we acknowledge it or not, our bodies and minds are constantly receiving, interpreting, and responding to this invisible language of energy. When you tap into this, you unlock a different layer of reality, the one where fortune is a living, breathing force that aligns itself with the frequency you emit. Imagine you're at a crowded party, and suddenly you notice someone across the room. They haven't said a word, yet you feel something. An undeniable magnetism pulling you in. It's not their clothes or their smile, it's the energy that surrounds them. This is the essence of vibrations at work. Just like radio waves that travel through the air, every person, every moment, and every situation emits a specific frequency. What we don't often realize is that we're constantly sending out our own energy, whether consciously or unconsciously. Your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions all broadcast vibrations into the world. Positive thoughts send out a high-frequency signal, while fear, doubt, and negativity lower your vibration. You can't see these vibrations with the naked eye, but you can feel them. And just as important, others can feel them too. The people you attract into your life, the opportunities that come your way, and even the challenges that test you, all are drawn to the frequency you are emitting. Take, for example, someone who's been through hardship. Their energy may be heavy, weighed down by unresolved trauma or disappointment. Despite their best efforts to move on, that frequency often attracts more of the same, situations that reflect their inner turmoil. On the other hand, someone who radiates gratitude, optimism, and inner peace naturally draws fortune toward them. They don't chase success. They vibrate at a frequency that invites it in. But here's where it gets powerful. You have the ability to change your frequency at any given moment. The power of your vibration lies in your ability to choose it. If you're not attracting the fortune you desire, it's time to assess the energy you're putting out. Are you vibrating at a frequency of abundance, or are you unknowingly stuck in a loop of lack? The good news is you have the power to shift. Take a moment to reflect on your own energy. How do you feel right now? Are you operating from a place of fear, or are you aligned with love, trust, and possibility? The more you focus on what uplifts you, whether it's listening to music that makes you feel alive, spending time with people who inspire you, or practicing gratitude, the more you amplify your frequency and in turn draw opportunities that match. Vibrations are never silent. They speak loudly, guiding you toward what's meant for you and away from what isn't. Pay attention to the energy in your life because vibrations don't lie. They reveal your true state of being and have the power to attract the fortune you seek. By consciously tuning in and aligning your own vibration, you unlock the gateway to a life filled with abundance, joy, and opportunity. Chapter 11. Your circle is your signal. Everything you need to know about the energy you attract can be found in the people around you. The energy of your closest relationships is like a mirror that reflects back to you where you stand in your journey. Think about the people you interact with most frequently. Friends, family, co-workers, mentors, and notice how they make you feel. Do they inspire you? Do they challenge you to grow? Or do they leave you feeling drained, doubtful, or discouraged? The circle you choose to keep around you plays a pivotal role in the frequency you send out into the world. We often forget how much influence others have on our emotional states. We think we control our mood and outlook, but in reality, the energy we absorb from others can either fuel or diminish our own. If you surround yourself with people who are constantly in a state of struggle, complaint, or negativity, their energy will lower your vibration. Similarly, being around people who radiate positivity, drive, and joy will naturally elevate your frequency. This is not to say that you need to cut off people who may be struggling or in difficult places. Instead, it's about understanding how their energy interacts with your own. Are they helping you rise, or are they holding you down, even unintentionally? The truth is, we are all mirrors for one another. We pick up on what's around us, and we often absorb energy without realizing it. The key is to become aware of how you feel when you're around certain people, and to assess whether or not their energy aligns with the frequency you want to amplify in your life. Think of it this way. Your social circle is like the radio station you tune into each day. If you're surrounded by people who are always talking about lack, struggle, or scarcity, it's like listening to a station playing low-frequency, static-filled music. But when you're surrounded by people who speak about abundance, opportunities, and growth, it's like tuning into a station that plays high-frequency, uplifting tunes that motivate and energize you. Now, this doesn't mean you should only keep company with people who are already perfect. We all have moments of doubt, struggle, and challenge, but it's important to ask yourself whether the overall energy of your circle is uplifting or draining. Are you growing together, or are you being held back by unspoken fears and limitations? Is your circle serving as a signal for what you want to manifest, or is it inadvertently sending out a message that contradicts your desires? You have the power to shift the energy around you. It begins with awareness. Take a moment to evaluate your relationships and consider the energy exchange. Ask yourself, are these people helping me tune into the frequency of fortune? Do they encourage me to be my best self, or do they drag me down into negativity? One powerful action you can take is to consciously choose your circle. Look for people who inspire you, who challenge you in positive ways, and who embody the kind of energy you want to amplify in your own life. This doesn't mean cutting people off. It simply means setting boundaries and seeking out those who raise your vibration. Your fortune isn't just about what you do alone, it's about who you do it with. When your circle radiates high frequency, you too begin to emit a signal that matches the energy of abundance, opportunity, and success. Your people are the frequency you tune into, and the frequency you send out. Chapter 12. Desperation blocks the flow. There was once a woman named Maya, living in the heart of New York City. She had a good job, friends, and everything that looked successful on the outside. But internally, Maya felt a constant tug, a sense that she wasn't living her true purpose. She yearned for more, deeper fulfillment, creative freedom, and the fortune that came with it. But the more she longed for it, the further it seemed to drift away. In her search for answers, Maya stumbled upon a concept she had never fully understood. Desperation blocks the flow. She had heard it before, but only when she was truly desperate did it start to make sense. It was as if she was swimming against the current, trying to force things into place. The harder she pushed, the more everything seemed to slip through her fingers. It was in a quiet moment of reflection that Maya realized the truth. Desperation is a form of resistance. The more we crave something with a sense of urgency, the more we signal to the universe that we don't trust the flow of life. We place ourselves outside of the natural rhythm, creating friction where there should be ease. In her desperation, Maya had unknowingly placed a block in her own path. This isn't to say that desire is bad. Desire fuels ambition, dreams, and the very pursuit of fortune. But when desire is intertwined with desperation, it shifts from being a healthy drive to a fearful attachment. It's the difference between wanting something because you believe it will enhance your life and needing it to feel validated, complete, or enough. Maya's journey wasn't about suppressing her desires, but about shifting her energy. She learned to release the desperation and replaced it with trust, the trust that the universe has its own timing. Fortune, after all, isn't a race, it's a dance. When we let go of the frantic, anxious energy that keeps us pushing for results, we open ourselves to the flow. And in that flow, fortune becomes effortless. This realization was a game changer. As Maya softened her grip, opportunities began to align with her in ways she couldn't have imagined. The job she had once hoped to leave found ways to support her newfound creativity. Doors opened to her passions without the heavy burden of need. And most importantly, Maya found a sense of peace. She no longer had to force her dreams. She simply allowed them to unfold. Sacred practice. The next time you feel yourself grasping for something, whether it's a goal, a relationship, or material success, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, am I coming from a place of trust or am I approaching this with desperation? Shift your mindset from one of lack to one of abundance. Trust that everything you need is already on its way. When you release the desperation, you create the space for real abundance to flow into your life. Chapter 13. The Myth of Coincidence. You've had that moment before, right? You think of someone and within hours they call. You notice the same number popping up everywhere, on your clock, license plates, even in a phone number you dial. Then there's the time you stumbled upon a book in a dusty corner of the bookstore, and it had the exact answer you were searching for. Even though you had no idea you were looking for it, it feels like mere coincidence, doesn't it? But what if I told you there's no such thing? Let's talk about the deeper truth. Everything is connected. Nothing happens by accident. The universe doesn't throw random events into your life just to keep you guessing. Instead, every event, person, and circumstance is a part of the intricate design of your life. It's a dance between your energy and the world around you. A dance that's not random, but perfectly choreographed by forces that you may not fully understand, but that are working in your favor. Take, for example, the concept of synchronicity. Carl Jung, the renowned Swiss psychologist, coined the term. He believed that meaningful coincidences occur when events align in such a way that they seem connected, even though there is no obvious cause and effect relationship. This is the universe's way of showing you that there's more going on than meets the eye. These synchronicities aren't mere accidents, they're clues. They're like road signs that guide you toward your true path, urging you to pay attention to the signals you may otherwise overlook. Think about those times when your life seems to shift in an instant because you met the right person, at the right time, in the right place. What was it? Coincidence? Or was it the result of your frequency, your energy, attracting the right opportunities? When your thoughts and emotions align with your deepest desires, you tap into a cosmic force that opens doors and leads you to places you didn't even know you were meant to go. The trick is to trust that this is happening, even when the results seem inexplicable or coincidental. When you look back on your life, you might find that every so-called coincidence led to something significant. Maybe it was an introduction to a mentor, a chance encounter that became a lifelong friendship, or a random event that sparked a career change. These events were all connected to your inner state and your energy, how you showed up in the world and what you were vibrating at that moment. The universe is constantly speaking to us through these seemingly coincidental events. But most of us are too caught up in the noise of our daily lives to notice. We've been trained to view coincidences as mere flukes, brushing them off as nothing more than chance. But when you begin to shift your mindset, you see that these coincidences are sacred nudges, guiding you toward your purpose. Here's the deeper shift. Instead of labeling these moments as accidents, start recognizing them as your own frequency at work. You're not simply a passive observer of life. You are the signal, sending out waves of energy, intention, and possibility. What you focus on, you attract. What you feel, you bring into your reality. And when you're in sync with the frequency of fortune, these coincidences become a regular part of your life. So the next time something coincidental happens, don't brush it off as mere chance. Pause, reflect, and ask yourself, what am I meant to learn from this moment? How is this connected to what I've been thinking, feeling, or desiring? Trust that everything happens for a reason, and that you're exactly where you need to be in this moment. Chapter 14. The Mirror of the Moment. Life in its most sacred form is a reflection. Every moment, every encounter, every setback or success shows us something about who we are, and where we're meant to go. But this reflection is not always immediately clear. It's easy to get caught up in the rush of the world, focused on what's next, what's wrong, or what's missing. Yet, the truth is simple. The present moment, as chaotic or serene as it may be, is the mirror. You need to understand your own inner frequency. There is a quiet wisdom in every instant, if you learn to look beyond the surface. Think of your thoughts as the waves that move across the water. Beneath them lies the clarity of the ocean's depth. The moment is a mirror that reflects both your inner state and the universe's response to that state. It's as if the universe is holding up a mirror, showing you what's true in your heart, your beliefs, and your actions. Yet, most of us only glance at the mirror, seeing what we want to see instead of what is. When you begin to embrace this truth, the way you approach life shifts. Instead of reacting out of fear, impatience, or desire, You start to see every encounter, every challenge, and every success as a reflection of where you are vibrationally. That job you didn't get? It reflects your fear of inadequacy, perhaps, a lingering belief that you're not good enough. That unexpected kindness from a stranger? It mirrors your capacity for love and openness. Life at its core is a mirror, and your frequency shapes the reflections you encounter. This understanding requires courage, to look into the mirror and acknowledge the parts of yourself that are hidden, neglected, or simply misunderstood. But the beauty lies in the fact that once you begin to consciously see the truth of the present moment, the reflection changes. You start to attract people, opportunities, and experiences that resonate with the higher version of you. The reflections become clearer, brighter, and more aligned with your deepest desires. Imagine looking into a mirror that is constantly shifting, showing you not just who you are, but who you can become. That's the power of the moment. The present is not static. It's a living, breathing mirror of your potential. The frequency you emit right now determines what your next reflection will be. Chapter 15. The Language of Light. In the quiet corners of the night when everything else fades away, have you ever felt a subtle pull, a whisper from the deepest part of your being? It's a sensation so gentle, yet so undeniable, that it seems to come from somewhere beyond your ordinary senses. This is the language of light, and it's speaking to you all the time. It may not always be words, but it is a feeling, a knowing, that guides you, like a lighthouse in a storm. When you close your eyes and drift into sleep, your mind often weaves stories in the form of dreams, images, or fleeting sensations. These aren't random. Dreams, symbols, and even gut feelings are a higher form of communication. They're messages encoded in light, the kind of light that isn't seen with the eyes but felt with the soul. Each dream, each gut instinct, is a frequency that connects you to something greater than yourself. It's the universe's way of getting your attention, sending you flashes of clarity or pointing you in a direction that might not yet make sense on the surface, but will later. Take, for instance, the story of Dr. Carl Jung, a well-known Swiss psychiatrist. In one of his most pivotal moments, Jung found himself in a deep inner conflict. He couldn't reconcile his scientific mind with his growing interest in the mystical. One evening, he had a vivid dream that would change the course of his life. In the dream, he saw a vast, undulating sea, its waves a brilliant shade of light. The dream was a moment of clarity for Jung, a guidepost leading him to explore the depths of his own unconscious mind and the spiritual undercurrents that connect us all. That dream, that language of light, wasn't just a random manifestation. It was a direct message that showed him the way forward. His journey into the unconscious became the cornerstone of his life's work. The language of light isn't confined to dreams, though. It also speaks in symbols, in moments of deep stillness, and in gut feelings that arise when you face an important decision. These symbols, whether they come to you in the form of visions, songs that seem to resonate with your heart, or even the uncanny timing of events in your life, are not coincidences. They are pieces of a puzzle that are meant to guide you toward the fortune that awaits. What matters is your ability to listen, to trust the subtle shifts in your energy, and to follow those whispers with faith and courage. Your soul knows the language of light, even when your mind doesn't. It communicates through feelings, through what you experience in your body when something resonates deeply within you. The way your heart quickens when you meet someone who feels like home, or the peace that washes over you when you make a decision that aligns with your truth. These sensations are not random. They are the universe speaking to you in its purest form. In every moment, you are surrounded by light, whether it's the flicker of a star in the sky or the quiet stillness that envelops you in the morning. Each of these moments is a chance to tune into that deeper frequency. When you stop long enough to listen, you'll hear the universe's message loud and clear. You are exactly where you need to be, and everything you need is already within you. Remember that the light doesn't always shine brightly in the way you expect it to. Sometimes it's the softest glow in the corner of your mind. Sometimes it's a quiet knowing that grows louder as you tune in. Your job is to trust it. Your fortune lies in the whispers that emerge when you embrace this language, not as something you need to understand with your mind, but as something you allow yourself to feel with your heart. The language of light is timeless, and it speaks in the most profound ways. All you need to do is listen. Chapter 16. Align, don't chase. It's easy to get caught in the rush of life, the constant pressure to strive, to hustle, to chase after what we think we need. We've been conditioned to believe that success is a race, that fortune is something we must pursue relentlessly. But what if everything you've been chasing is already within reach, simply waiting for you to stop running? Take a moment to reflect on your life. Think about a time when you were fully aligned with your purpose, when things seemed to fall into place effortlessly. Maybe it was a moment of pure flow, where your actions felt inspired, and the world responded with exactly what you needed. That's what alignment feels like. The calm, the certainty, and the magnetism that pulls opportunities to you without the frantic chase. Chasing comes from a place of lack, of believing there's not enough, whether it's money, love, success, or peace. When you chase, you're telling the universe that you're missing something, that you need it now. In truth, this energy pushes away what you desire. Why? Because it's coming from a place of neediness, not abundance. The more you chase, the more you affirm to yourself that you don't have what you want, and the universe responds by keeping it at arm's length. But when you align, you shift your energy from desperation to trust. You stop running and start syncing up with the flow of life. Alignment is not about forcing things to happen. It's about allowing. It's about knowing that everything you need is already on its way, and your role is to be open to it, to prepare yourself for its arrival, not to chase it down. Alignment is about recognizing that you don't have to make things happen. You simply have to allow yourself to be the person who naturally attracts those things. When you're aligned, you radiate confidence and clarity, and you draw in the right people, opportunities, and circumstances. One of the key steps to alignment is learning to trust that the universe is not working against you. It's not about you pushing harder or being more determined. It's about being the person who vibrates at the frequency of what you want, being the person who already has it. It's about shifting from the mindset of chasing to one of attraction. When you're in alignment, you become the signal that draws in your desires without the frantic energy of the chase. It's important to remember that alignment doesn't mean sitting back and waiting for things to fall into your lap. It means being in a state of relaxed readiness where you're taking inspired action that feels right, not forced. It's about trusting your intuition and letting your steps be guided by your highest self, rather than by fear or urgency. Realigning requires letting go of the idea that you're missing something, or that you need to earn everything you want through struggle. The truth is, everything you seek is already within you, ready to be drawn into your life. You simply need to stop chasing and start aligning with the frequency of abundance. Chapter 17. Sacred Discontent. Discontent. It's a word that often carries negative connotations. We tend to associate it with dissatisfaction, frustration, and a longing for something different. But what if I told you that discontent True, discontent could be one of the most sacred signs that you're on the verge of transformation. What if, instead of running from that feeling, you embraced it as an invitation? Meet Jamie. A mid-level manager in her late 30s, Jamie had spent years climbing the corporate ladder. To the outside world, her life seemed perfect. A steady job, a beautiful home, and a circle of friends who admired her ambition. Yet inside, she was restless, constantly questioning the purpose of her work and feeling a deep dissatisfaction that she couldn't shake off. At first, she tried to ignore the feeling. She told herself that everyone had moments of discontent, that it was just a phase. She buried herself in the demands of her job, hoping that the discomfort would fade. But the more she ignored it, the louder it became. She felt like she was swimming in a pool of stagnant water, unable to break free of the weight pulling her down. One evening, after yet another frustrating meeting with her boss, Jamie sat alone in her car, staring at the rearview mirror. "What's wrong with me?" she whispered to herself. "Why can't I just be happy with what I have?" That's when the answer came, not in words, but in a sudden, sharp clarity. Her discontent wasn't the problem. It was the catalyst. It was the signal she had been waiting for. The universe was calling her to step into something greater. That restless feeling wasn't a sign of weakness. It was the pulse of her soul urging her to evolve. Over the next few weeks, Jamie allowed herself to sit with her discontent. She didn't try to escape it or cover it up with distractions. Instead, she explored it. She asked herself deep, uncomfortable questions. What do I truly want? What am I afraid of? And most importantly, what am I willing to risk to get there? As Jamie confronted the discomfort, she began to realize that she had been living her life according to other people's expectations, not her own. Her discontent wasn't a punishment, it was an invitation to create something more meaningful. It was a nudge from the universe, telling her that the life she was living no longer matched the person she had become. The turning point came when Jamie decided to make a bold decision. She would leave her corporate job and start a business doing something she was deeply passionate about, helping others find purpose and fulfillment in their careers. It was scary. It felt risky. But that sense of sacred discontent had led her to a place where the only thing more terrifying than making the leap was staying stuck. Jamie's story is not unique. In fact, many of us have felt that gnawing sense of dissatisfaction at some point in our lives. Perhaps it's the job you've outgrown, the relationship that no longer serves you, or the lifestyle that feels misaligned with your true desires. That feeling of discontent is often the universe's way of asking you to wake up, to pay attention, and to take the leap toward your true purpose. Discontent, when approached with awareness, can become a sacred ally. It's a reflection of your soul's deeper yearning for growth, evolution, and alignment. When you're in tune with the frequency of fortune, you begin to understand that discontent isn't something to fear or avoid. It's a signal that you're on the edge of a new chapter. It's your invitation to create something bigger than yourself, to step into the person you were always meant to be. In this moment, as you feel that familiar stir of dissatisfaction, whether it's in your job, your relationships, or your life, in general, remember, sacred discontent is not a curse. It's the beginning of a new, more vibrant chapter of your life. Trust that it's guiding you toward something extraordinary. The frequency of fortune often begins with the discomfort of growth. Chapter 18. The frequency of forgiveness. Forgiveness is not just an act, it's a vibration. It's a frequency that, when tuned to its highest potential, can transform not only your life, but the world around you. Most people think of forgiveness as a simple act of letting go of anger or resentment toward someone who has wronged them. But true forgiveness is far deeper than that. It is a release of the emotional energy that binds us to the past, the energetic ties that keep us tethered to pain and regret. Imagine you're standing at the edge of a beautiful river, the sun setting on the horizon. The water flows effortlessly, each ripple catching the fading light, moving forward with ease. Now picture yourself standing in the water holding onto a heavy stone. Perhaps it's the weight of a past betrayal, a grudge you've held for years, or the shame of a mistake that you can't seem to let go of. The stone is heavy. It drags you down and the river of life flows by you, but you remain stuck, anchored by the weight you refuse to release. This stone, though, is not just any stone. It represents the energy you're holding on to, the frequency of unresolved hurt, the vibration of anger and unforgiveness. You might think that holding on to it protects you. After all, if you stay angry or bitter, doesn't that show that you are justified, that you are in control? But in reality, this stone only holds you back, keeping you from experiencing the flow of life and fortune. The moment you decide to let it go, the river flows effortlessly beneath you and your world shifts with it. Forgiveness is about releasing the weight of the past so that you can move freely into your future. It's not about excusing bad behavior or pretending that the wrongs never happened. It's about acknowledging the pain, feeling it, and then choosing to release it. It's about understanding that holding on to the past only keeps you locked in the same emotional loop, preventing you from accessing the higher frequency of abundance and peace that the universe is always trying to offer you. But why is forgiveness so powerful? Because when you forgive, you elevate your energy. You stop vibrating at the frequency of anger, resentment, or regret, and you begin to vibrate at the frequency of peace, acceptance, and love. This shift in energy doesn't just affect your emotional state. It alters your reality. Suddenly, the opportunities that seemed distant become within reach, and the relationships that were once strained begin to heal. You start to see the world in a new light, one where the space you create by forgiving allows fortune to flow toward you with ease. Forgiveness is also deeply connected to self-love. We often forget that the person who suffers the most from our inability to forgive is ourselves. When we cling to anger or resentment, we poison our own peace of mind. We allow someone else's actions to continue controlling our emotional state. By forgiving, we reclaim our power. We choose to stop allowing the actions of others to dictate how we feel, and instead we decide to free ourselves from that grip. In my own life, I remember a time when I struggled with forgiveness. There was a person who had deeply hurt me, and I held on to that pain for years. I justified it, convinced that my anger was deserved, but the more I held on to it, the more I felt stuck. My life was good in many ways, but I couldn't break free from this one thing, the weight of unforgiveness. One day, after years of emotional turmoil, I realized that my refusal to forgive wasn't hurting the other person, it was hurting me. I was the one who was suffering, carrying this emotional weight. So, I made the choice to forgive. Not for them, but for myself. The moment I let go of that anger, I felt lighter, freer, as though a heavy weight had been lifted from my chest. My world shifted. Opportunities that had previously eluded me suddenly appeared, and my sense of peace grew stronger. Forgiveness is a frequency that aligns you with the flow of life. It creates space for new blessings, new experiences, and new relationships. When you forgive, you let go of old wounds and open yourself up to the vibrational match of the fortune that's waiting for you. The universe can't bring you what you desire if your energy is tangled up in the past. Once you forgive, you release the ties that keep you from stepping into your future. Sacred practice. Take a moment today to reflect on a situation or person that you've been holding on to anger or resentment toward. Sit quietly, breathe deeply, and visualize yourself holding on to a stone. Imagine the pain or anger as the weight you carry. Now, slowly let go of the stone, watching it sink into the river of life. Feel the relief in your body as you release that burden. Allow the river to carry you forward, knowing that forgiveness is not just a gift for others, but a gift to yourself. Chapter 19. Living in the flow field. There's a space, a dimension of ease, where life unfolds effortlessly. It's a place where your desires are met not with resistance but with grace. Call it the flow field. It's not a mystical place locked behind a veil of mystery. It's right here in the everyday moments, accessible to anyone who knows how to step into its current. The flow field is the natural state of abundance, connection, and flow. Think of it like a river. In the flow field, you're not paddling against the current, trying to force things into place. Instead, you're allowing yourself to be carried by the water. You're in sync with the natural rhythm of the universe, where timing aligns perfectly, where opportunities seem to appear out of nowhere, and where your efforts feel light and effortless. The question is, how do we step into this flow field? The first step is letting go of control. It sounds counterintuitive in a world that celebrates hustle, control, and pushing through barriers. But the flow field thrives on surrender. It's not about giving up. It's about giving in to what's already flowing towards you. When we stop trying to micromanage every outcome, we open ourselves up to possibilities that were once invisible. The more we try to force things, the more we create friction, and friction keeps us stuck. A powerful example of this principle can be found in the life of Olympic gold medalist Michael Phelps. In an interview, Phelps shared that in his most successful races he wasn't thinking about winning or even about his competitors. He was in the moment, fully immersed in the rhythm of his strokes. His body, his mind, and his spirit were all in sync with the water. When Phelps swam with the flow, the race came to him. He didn't chase the victory, he allowed it to come naturally. This concept also applies to the choices you make. When you're tuned into the flow field, you stop overanalyzing every decision. You make choices that feel right in your gut, that resonate with your highest self. There's a quiet confidence in this flow, an understanding that you don't need to know all the answers. You just need to trust the process. In practical terms, living in the flow field means aligning your actions with your purpose, without obsessing over the end result. It means doing the work, whether it's writing, creating, helping, or building, without the constant nagging fear of failure or doubt. It's an openness to the present moment, where you don't feel trapped by your past nor overwhelmed by your future. This is where true fortune lives, in the zone of least resistance. The flow field is your natural state, where you're free from self-doubt, worry, and the constant need for validation. It's not about being passive or avoiding hard work, but about releasing the inner tension that blocks your energy from flowing freely. When you live in the flow field, you are aligned with the universal current, and your actions become effortless. Your goals are achieved with grace, and fortune follows you as naturally as the tide. The flow doesn't happen in the noise. It happens in the stillness between your thoughts. It lives in the quiet space when you let go of the need to control every outcome and trust that the universe has a plan for you, one that's far greater than anything you could have engineered on your own. Living in the flow field doesn't mean everything will be perfect or easy. Life's challenges will still come. But when you live in the flow, challenges feel more like opportunities to grow rather than obstacles that hold you back. You'll find the energy to tackle what comes your way without being drained, and with each challenge your frequency rises, drawing more fortune into your life. And in those moments when you step out of the flow, when you feel lost or disconnected. It's a sign to pause, breathe, and return. The flow field is always waiting. It never leaves you. You are the current that sustains it. The universe doesn't force you into alignment. It simply holds the space for you to step into it whenever you're ready. Living in the flow field is about trusting the unfolding of your journey. When you tune into that natural flow, you realize you're not forcing your way to success. Success is just a byproduct of being aligned with the truth of who you are. When you trust that everything you need is already on its way, you'll find that the path is already clear, and all you have to do is step into the current. In the flow field, fortune isn't something you chase. It's something you attract by simply being in alignment with your highest self. Chapter 20. You were always the signal. There comes a moment in every life when the universe shows you that you've been the answer all along. It's like waking up from a dream, realizing that you weren't waiting for something to happen. You were waiting for yourself to awaken to what was already there. The fortune you've longed for, the connections, the abundance, the love. These things were never outside of you. They were always inside, quietly waiting for the signal to resonate with the rhythm of the universe. It's easy to get caught up in the chase. We're told that success is something we must find, build, or earn. But the truth is, it's something we must align with. Life doesn't work by running after things. It works when you begin to understand that the very frequency of fortune is within you, always vibrating, always present. It's like you've been playing a song on a broken radio, only hearing static, never the melody. But once you fine-tune yourself, you discover that the song was always there, and it's beautiful. Your life, every decision you make, every relationship you build, every thought you think, is a signal being broadcast into the world. The problem is, so many of us broadcast out of alignment, sending out confusion, self-doubt, and fear. The universe can't respond to a signal it can't understand. But when you tune your mind to positive, abundant thoughts, when you raise your vibration to a place of clarity and confidence, the signal becomes crystal clear. You are the transmitter of your reality. The experiences you encounter, the people you attract, and the fortunes you manifest are not random. They are the echo of your inner frequency. If you've ever felt frustrated by the lack of progress, or confused about why things haven't aligned in your favor, it's not because fortune has abandoned you. It's simply because your signal was unclear. You were calling out to the universe with doubt, and the universe can only respond to the frequency of belief. As you stand now, you're no longer just the receiver. You've always been the signal. Everything you need is already here. The wealth, the love, the success. It's all waiting for you to realize that you don't need to chase it. You only need to align with it. You may have spent years thinking that you had to wait for a sign, for an opportunity, or for the right moment. But the moment has already arrived. You've been broadcasting your intentions all along, and now it's time to listen. The fortune you seek isn't a distant thing. It's right here, within you, resonating at the exact frequency you need. The key is understanding that the signal you send out must match the signal you wish to receive. If you want abundance, you must resonate with the frequency of abundance. If you want love, you must vibrate with love. If you want peace, align your inner frequency with peace. It's not about asking for what you want. It's about becoming what you desire. The universe is always responding, always shifting to meet the frequency you set. And when you realize that you are the signal, you begin to understand that fortune doesn't need to be pursued. It simply needs to be matched. As you move forward, remember that you are always the one who holds the power to shape your destiny. You were never waiting for the right moment, the right person, or the right opportunity. The moment has always been now. The person has always been you. and the fortune you seek is already aligned with your frequency, waiting for you to tune in. Conclusion. As you reach the final page of this journey, you may begin to realize something profound. Fortune was never a destination, nor something that could be given or taken away. The frequency of fortune isn't an external force, but rather an internal vibration, one that aligns with your deepest beliefs, your highest intentions, and the energy you put out into the world. Throughout this book, we've explored the nature of energy, intention, and the invisible threads that connect everything. We've looked at how every failure is a stepping stone, how gratitude creates abundance, and how your personal frequency has been shaping your life all along. The truth is, you were never waiting for fortune. Fortune was waiting for you to tune in, to recognize the signs, and to align yourself with the energy of abundance. Now that you've unlocked this understanding, it's time to step into your power. The world is vibrating with opportunities, just waiting for you to hear the call. The frequency of fortune is not something that happens to you. It is something you embody. So go ahead. Tune into your highest potential. Trust the signals that the universe is sending your way. And remember, the more you align with your true frequency, the more fortune will flow effortlessly into your life.